You're part of the photographic community that gives me so much, so it's time to give back to all of you. It's my mission to inspire and pass on my knowledge, passion and skills. You can subscribe using the watermark button on the screen. Ring your bell to make your subscription count. Please stay to the end and comment. It's your feedback that keeps the channel going. Can't see the wood for the trees? Have you ever looked up the definition of the saying and considered what it actually means? It's when you're so involved in the details of something that you can't see the whole. With woodland photography, we often struggle with composition because the whole is too much. The tangle of branches and web of leaves look mundane. That's certainly what I find sometimes. Join me at a local woodland. I'm going to chat with you about composition, camera settings and photography. So come on, I'll see you down in the woods.
Good morning everybody. I had to be a bit quiet, that's why we did the voiceover and the lot of B-roll at the beginning, because this is the first day that we've been able to get out and use the outdoors for leisure activities as opposed to just daily exercise. So I'm delighted, really delighted to be here. So where are we exactly? Well, I still wanted to keep local and not go too far. So I've come to a woodland very close to my home, just inside the Northmore National Park. And I did a scouting activity a couple of nights ago whilst I was out on my walk with the iPhone, just taking a few quick pics as I went along and looking for some locations close to home. And I found one. I found a gorgeously shaped tree that I want to photograph. So I've got to really hope that what I'm doing this morning is going to come out and work out really well. So before I explain a little bit more about the actual pictures itself as I take them, I'm just going to tell you what we're going to do. So obviously we're going to get to the tree first, and that's just a short little walk from here. When we get there, most importantly, I've brought some coffee with me, so we're going to sit down and have a cup of coffee. I'm going to talk to you about the pictures that I want to take, and I'm also going to explain to you a little bit about the apps and about the scouting trip I had the other evening. So I might show you a little bit of that, and then obviously we're going to take some photographs. Hopefully it'll all work out really, really well, and then I'll be able to show you the final result at the end, and we'll all go home very happy people. Of course, the images might not come out at all, and then you won't be watching this video. So without further ado, I'm going to walk on, get to the location, and hopefully I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are. Coffee first. You may have got a glimpse of the tree. It should be kind of over my shoulder. Maybe it's behind me. And it's got a great shape, and it stands out. Sorry. And it stands out just a little bit more than the others because of its shape, and because of its sort of position of relationship to the other trees in the background. And this picture is about that shape. But it's also got a very beautiful scene around it with all these bluebells still out. And I wanted to capture that. I went out last year photographing bluebells, and it was probably my most successful year of shooting them, because previously I'd really struggled. So this year I wanted to do a lot more and get it right. So I'll put a link up to that video up on the screen for you, so you can have a look at it. But first of all, I need to finish drinking some coffee. So as I said, I came out 2 nights ago, I think it was now, to walk my dog, Ruby. Tried to convince her to come this morning, but she was having none of it. She's out of practice getting up early. In fact, she doesn't like getting up early. Anyway, I tried to get her to come. So we came out here one evening and just had a look around and had a look to see what time we should get up. So I used the TPE, the photographer's ephemeris. If you haven't looked or seen the app, then please go and have a look. Incidentally, I'm not supported by them or I'm not recommending it. It's just an app that I use. So, you know, there's no affiliation there at all. But it's an app that I use to sort of work out exactly where we are. So I had a look on there, worked out sunrise, sunset times, where the light was going to come from. Not that it's that important, because what I really wanted to do was to make sure that the tree was either flatly lit or lit from the right sort of direction. And the sun's gradually starting to come up now and pick up on some of the trees in the background. So the background might be a little bit. We'll have to see how it works out. But I'm sure we'll get a good picture. As the sun gets up higher, it might even illuminate the tree. But we'll see what happens. So I use that app. I also use the Land Ranger app. I really only use that just to mark the position, really, just so that I could come back to it without having to sort of scout around again and work out where it was. To be honest, it was probably unnecessary for this particular location because I know it quite well. But it was interesting anyway just to do it. So I'm going to finish this cup of coffee, have some food, and then I'm going to scout around with the SLR to find a few compositions that I want to try. And when I find one, I'll join you again and talk you through what I've done and what I'm thinking about it. It's better. Okay, so that's the first composition setup. Doesn't mean nothing to you because you can't see it yet. I'm going to bring you around here so you can have a look at the back of the screen. One of the things I found with doing this is that there's so many different possibilities, and to be honest, I'm kind of struggling a bit. I'm not even sure what I'm going to pick as my final image, because as you move around and look at the tree, its relationship changes, and the relationship between the tree, the foreground, the other elements in the tree change its level of dominance, and whether it's being supported by the foreground interest, whether it's being supported by the shape of the frame, whether it's losing its dominance or whether it changes so drastically. So it's actually quite difficult to do. It might be that the setups that I show you today won't be the one that you see in the final image, because when I look at the screen, get home and I sort of like leave the images for a few days so I can go back to them with a fresh mind, I may pick something slightly different. Right, well, let's have a look at this setup anyway. Okay, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to see this on the back of the frame. What I've done is I've used this tree on my right hand side to serve as a bit of a frame for the tree. But I was a little bit unsure about what to do, because in some ways I didn't want the tree to feel that it was hemmed in, because the way that these branches spread out, they almost want to go out of the frame, and lead you out and let you wonder about what else you're looking at and what else you could be missing. But when I came to look at it, I just thought that this tree coming down the right hand side and sort of the branch curving down, and the bit of the trunk and the root sort of connecting at the ground level, actually gave it a little bit of depth to the image, and set this off quite well. And you might not be able to see it on the background. You certainly can't see it where you are. If I show you, sorry. Yeah, where were we? Sorry. You certainly can't see it on here because the screen's probably too small for you, but there is another tree on the left hand side, just over on this edge of the frame, which I may or may not include in the picture, but as it frames the other side of it and gives it that triangle going through the frame. It's been quite difficult. You can probably see the highlight warning in the top. There's actually about 4 stops of difference between the first exposure and then the second one. So I probably could have got it in one frame, but when I sort of do that, I kind of bracket quite a bit, and then if I've got something in there, then I'll do it in one picture, but we'll have to see. What it is. So, some camera settings for you guys. I've been shooting at ISO 100. I've been shooting at f4, and I've been using different shutter speed ranges, and those ranges have gone from 80th of a second, 40th, 20th, 10th. Yeah, so about a 10th all the way up to about 80th of a second, just depending on where we are, just a bit of an exposure bracket. As usual, I'm shooting in RAW. Focal length we are at, just over 24mm on the Canon 24-105, and shooting again obviously on the Canon 5D Mark IV. I use although it's in my pocket, I use my trusty cable release every time because it slows me down. It's part of my process. You can use a 2-second timer, but whatever, it's important not to shake the tripod. And I've been framing up using the viewfinder, to be honest, not using the live screen. The live screen is just for your benefit. If I can use the viewfinder, I will. It saves battery life, and not only that, I get a better connection with the subject when everything else around it is excluded and I'm just looking through that viewfinder. I've also done an exposure bracket. I've done a focus stack as well, because I'm shooting f4, because I want some softness to the background. So I've focused on the tree on my right, and then halfway in between the main subject on the ground and then the main subject itself. So I've taken those 3 pictures just to try and make sure that I've got them all in focus. I'm going to look for some more compositions. I may join you in a minute, or it may be that I show you the final image. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've come back for more coffee. I've shot a few different compositions in addition to the one that you've just seen, and I'm still not quite sure what the final one's going to be, but I'm going to pack up now and head back home, and then in a few days time I'm going to edit the pictures, put them together so they're ready to show you. Luckily you won't have to wait a few days, you can see them in a couple of seconds. So time for me to pack up, time for me to show you the final image, and I'm also going to put up a few links to some images at the end for you, some links to some other videos at the end for you, because I think you might like those as well. Pack up time.
I used the wider angle view for my final composition. The tree seemed more comfortable in the frame with space for its old branches to reach out towards the light. I think the trunk on the right hand side is a little dominant, but the crop is important. I wanted it to meet the top right corner of the frame. Good job it's local, maybe I can go back. I hope you're enjoying the video. Maybe you would like to carry on, so try these suggestions next. I want to share more knowledge, more skills, more passion and stories about photography with you. So think about subscribing. If you do, ring the bell. It will make your subscription count. If you have time, comment. I will see you on the next video. So get out there and enjoy your photography.